Everyone, welcome to the live coaching call for the Upholder, one of the four tendencies from Gretchen Rubin. I'm going to be talking through tips and success strategies for upholders to achieve goals in 2020. So do you ever find yourself thinking, if I want something done, I better do it myself? Or do you ever wonder, what on earth is wrong with people? They're always talking about taking action and projects, but yet they never do anything about it. Or do you find it really easy to stick to schedules, routines, and habits, and you don't understand what everyone's finding it so hard around the new year? Well, if you answered yes to any of those, you're probably an upholder. So I'll be talking about the strengths and weaknesses of having the upholder tendency and the best strategies for achieving your goals in 2020. Now, there are many variations of the upholder tendency, and we're each completely unique in our own ways, with many different factors affecting how we behave and how we respond to expectations. So some of the things I talk about here will really resonate with you, and others might not, and that's okay. So let's dive in. Now, the Four Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin is a personality framework that describes how we respond to expectations, both from others, outer expectations, and for ourselves, inner expectations. Now, what's really interesting about upholders is that they readily meet both internal and outer expectations. So upholders really excel at getting stuff done. Getting things done is easier for upholders than any other tendency. So it makes sense that upholders are one of the rarer tendencies. Fewer than 1 in 5 people identify as upholders. Now, upholders are all about meeting expectations. They want to do what they expect of themselves, and what others expect of them is just as important. Upholders wake up in the morning and they think, what's on my schedule and to-do list today? And then they just get going doing it. An upholder motto could be, discipline is my freedom. So the strengths of being an upholder include extreme reliability, because if an upholder tells you they're going to do something, they will do it. Upholders really like to know exactly what's expected of them so they can fulfill that expectation. And they really don't like making mistakes or letting people down, including themselves. So upholders often thrive in environments where there are clear expectations, rules, plans to follow, and where there are fixed deadlines for getting things done. Upholders are also very good at self-preservation. Now, both upholders and obligers are good at fulfilling external expectations, so what others demand of them. But unlike obligers, upholders are much better at taking care of themselves as well. So they're more likely to prioritize self-care, avoid burnout, although of course it's not impossible, and generally make sure that there's a balance between fulfilling others' expectations and making sure they preserve themselves. Upholders are also wonderfully conscientious and thorough, and I would know because I'm married to one. Upholders hate to make mistakes, and they take great care to make sure that things are done just so. Now, if you're not an upholder and you're watching this, you might think, oh, being an upholder just sounds so perfect. I wish I was one. And yeah, you might think that life as an upholder seems really easy. However, let's be honest, being an upholder is not without its risks. So here are some of the weaknesses of the upholder tendency. Upholders may actually struggle in situations where expectations aren't clear, like entrepreneurship or self-employment. Now, this is why it's absolutely essential, if you are an upholder who works for yourself, that you reflect on exactly what success means for you. You set aligned goals for yourself, and you get clarity on exactly what expectations you want to meet for yourself and where you want to focus. So it's really, really clear that you make a plan so that you can meet those expectations that you find so easy. Another risk of being an upholder is perfectionism. Now, upholders really hate to make mistakes and get things wrong, and they get very impatient with themselves when they do. But here's the thing, entrepreneurship is an uncertain game. It's a learning game, and we have to be willing to try things without being sure of the result. So as an upholder in self-employment or in entrepreneurship, it's really, really important that you're able to embrace imperfect action and to be able to test and take small iterative steps towards the vision you want to realize, whilst being willing to get it a little bit wrong in the process. Remember that it's only through trying and iterating and testing again and again that we'll be able to create truly great work. Another risk for upholders is overloading yourselves. Now, when you're busy meeting expectations left and right, you can find yourself being very, very busy, but not necessarily productive. So just like the obligers, upholders are very, very responsible people, but you've got to make sure that you're actually spending time moving the needle forward in your business and growing your business, as well as taking care of your clients. Upholders can often find themselves saying yes too often, and it's important to remember that you do not need to say yes to fulfilling every idea, offer, or suggestion that comes your way. Because upholders are wired to meet all expectations, you can run the risk of finding yourself fulfilling too many. Unlike questioners who question every external expectation and evaluate it, you might find yourself as an upholder doing things that you don't need to or even want to do simply because you have this sense of invisible obligation. And finally, I think what's the most important weakness of all to watch out for as an upholder is that a lot of you don't like asking for help. And go back to what I said at the beginning, if I want something done well, I should do it myself. Many upholders self-identify as disciplined, and upholders are usually the last people to ask for help when achieving their goals because they're so self-reliant and very proud of it. However, being so self-reliant, you run the risk of isolation, getting stuck in your ways and becoming a bit rigid. Upholders can sometimes be very impatient with people who are not like them, but it's important to remember that we can all learn a lot from people who are very different to us. And as an upholder, it's important to consciously make an effort to open yourself up more, to be open to different ways of doing things, different ways of working, and even breaking some of those patterns that have perhaps become a bit rigid for you. Look for expanders in your life if you are an upholder. An expander is someone who expands your idea of what is possible. For instance, successful rebels show us that we can defy all expectations and still get ahead in life, while successful questioners can help remind upholders that we do have the power to actually evaluate the expectations that come from the outside and choose which ones we want to fulfill. Now, we don't have enough time to do everything we want to in life, but there is always enough time to do what is truly important. And I encourage upholders to get very clear on what truly important means for you. Okay, on to some strategies that will help you to work towards your goals in 2020. Strategy number 1, big picture thinking. It's really essential for upholders to who find themselves often very, very busy meeting expectations to take a step back, get out of the weeds, and think about the bigger vision. Really get clear on what your big desires and goals are for 2020, and be sure to write them down and then follow the process all the way through to make sure you're taking action regularly. Another strategy that works very well for upholders is scheduling and time blocking. So making appointments with yourself to work on those big picture vision goals and on your biggest priorities, working on as well as in your business. And also creating deadlines for yourself. Because you thrive with structure and routines, if you set yourself big deadlines for your own personal goals as well as those of your clients and others, that might help motivate you to work towards meeting that expectation of yourself. Upholders love systems, tools, and routines generally, so make full use of all the tools that are available to you, whether an app or a paper tool for tracking and planning. Upholders might like to keep a chart or a calendar where you can check off daily progress towards goals to really get a sense of being in that routine where you thrive. And finally, because upholders are so good at meeting expectations and sticking to habits, why not go for the whole clean slate strategy? So upholders are actually very, very good at changing a whole load of things at once and following through on all of them. So you can take advantage of one big change you're making in your life to actually anchor new habits or changes you want to make. So for instance, if you're moving to a new office, you might want to change several things about your business at the same time to really take advantage of this new moment and this new energy. Or if you've started a new habit or a new way of working, it's easy for upholders to stack new changes on top of those. So don't hold back from changing a lot of things at once. When I give advice to rebels and obligers, I often encourage them to, do one thing at a time and then see how that goes before adding any more things on top. However, with upholders, I know that a lot of you are super impressive at just rolling with a whole load of big changes at once. It's easy for you, so try it. Okay, that concludes my coaching session for upholders. I hope you found some interesting things in there and some insights into how you can work towards and achieve your goals in 2020. Do look out for the next sessions, which are for rebels and questioners, especially if there's a rebel in your life. Thank you. Bye.